How's it going? Sorry, it's Propaganda Patrol here. Um, I know I said next episode would be about Fox News, but I saw this interesting article here. Trump versus Black History Month. Uh, for clarity, I'm not black. Uh, so feel free to take whatever I say with a grain of salt. But when I saw this article, immediately had my interest peaked. Um, I haven't read through it yet, so let's look through it together because I have a feeling this is going to be incredibly biased. Oh my goodness! So yeah, here you can see President Trump with a is that who I think it is? Hold on, pause. In the meantime, is that wait? Okay, is this it is. Oh, it is. Okay. Oh, that's Tiger Woods right there, receiving the Medal of Honor. He doesn't look very happy to be here. Uh, I could imagine he's not very happy to be here, but that's okay. She looks happy to be here. And a lot of these people look extremely happy to be invited to the White House to hear Donald Trump speak. Um, and this is 2 days ago. Fabulous. Okay, but yeah. Oh wow. I mean, he doesn't look happy at all. Um, I don't know Mr. Wood's opinions about Trump, but judging by that, judging by that face, he doesn't appear to be very pro-Trump. Let's get into this. President Donald Trump honored Black History Month with a reception at the White House on Thursday, where he talked about statues of Black Americans. He's gonna put in the sculpture garden. That's cool. He's gonna make a sculpture garden. It's honestly, I think it's something we have needed. Uh, just to celebrate our great American heroes. Um, so yeah, that's a good plan. But the celebration itself, featuring a cameo by Tiger Woods, as we see above, was at odds with much of what Trump and his government has done in 1 month of his second term. That is a very strange sentence. It's a strange sentence because Trump hasn't done anything like horribly anti. I don't want to say anti-black people because that kind of sounds mean, but he hasn't really done anything like super racist. Uh, that I've seen so far. If you have any incredibly racist Trump motives, please comment it in the comment section and uh, show me. Honestly, I want to see. An event took place. CNN was reporting CQ Brown. This is the guy who was just fired. He was the Joint Chief Staff, whatever. Yeah, Joint Chiefs and a black man. I don't think this is very necessary. Oh, oh, okay. So he's upset. She. Wait, who's this spy? Okay, yeah, he's upset that CQ Brown was fired, and I think he's trying to hint that it's because he's black. Um, when in reality, the joint I mean, I looked at a Wikipedia page earlier. The Joint Chief of Staffs tend to change, uh, with every new administration. So I don't think this is a very necessary, like, shot at Trump. Uh, could soon fire. Yeah, he's been fired. This is old news. Diversity is now a dirty word in the government. No, it isn't. Uh, it's a dirty word because certain people have been co-opting it for DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion, which is fundamentally, in my opinion, this is my bias. In my opinion, is a not great thing because while it includes stuff like veterans programs, it helps certain minorities get their name out there. Um, it also has contributed to stuff like race quotas, as I mentioned before, like Alan Back, who was denied from medical school because he was white. Uh, and I just don't like the direction DEI has been bringing us in. That is my personal opinion. but I don't think it's a for any by any means a dirty word in the U.S. government. I think that's just a shot at people who don't like DEI. Civil rights era equal employment opportunities initiatives have been rescinded. I don't think that's a very good thing. Maybe I don't know. I don't know what it's referring to. Some of the first thousands of federal workers to be fired. Yada yada. So, to make the government look like the rest of the country. What is this saying? Some of the first thousand federal workers to be fired were those working to make the government look like the rest of the country. What does that mean? Uh, Honestly, what does that mean? Uh, what? That's such a weird. I don't know. That's a weird statement. Um, Trump's radical indoctrination in American schools. Uh, he dissed the 1619, sorry, project, the New York Times effort to reframe. Okay, so 1916 project to reframe U.S. history around the stain of slavery. This word I have problems with. I have problems with this word because history, I want to say, doesn't need a frame. It's history. Um, you, there are many ways to look at history. It shouldn't be consigned to a box. And based on this description, it looks like the New York Times is trying. Sorry, New York Times is trying to basically box U.S. history around slavery, and that to me is not great because U.S. history doesn't only revolve around slavery, though it is an incredibly important topic. To base the entirety of U.S. history around slavery is, uh, I mean, it feels like a more like emotional, like trying to grip the heartstrings kind of thing, instead of like being actually useful to current America. Um, But anyways, has embraced claims of reverse racism. So, like I said, Alan Back would be an example of reverse racism. Like, well, when reverse racism, it's racism, but but people will like disguise it as non-racism. Like, oh, it's not racist to deny someone from school because they're white, because white people have uh, all sorts of advantages. Uh, and to me, the issue with that is what you're doing is you're creating a system of like a system. You're creating a system that favors one race over the other, and that is the textbook definition of racism. It doesn't matter if you're white or black or Asian or Native American or anything. What you're doing is you're creating a system to oppress one group. That is racism. Um, I mean, initiatives on U.S. campus. Yeah, so eh, purge diversity. It's not diversity if you're denying someone based on their skin color. If you apply to a college, like blot out everything out of your mind right now. If you apply to a college and you're told you're not enough because you're this skin color, would you be happy? Just think about that for a second. Uh, it's completely unfair to deny someone based on their skin color. To say you're perfect, except you weren't born a certain way. You can't change that, but oh well, you're not born a certain like that's not fair. And the fact that people think it's fair, it just I mean it blows my mind. Uh, but let's continue. Cue a chilling effect on how Americans celebrate the contributions of African American what minorities and how the government, schools, yada yada. But to the point, while Trump is celebrating Black History Month with an event at the White House, much of the rest of his government bans such observances. Oh, identity months are dead. All right, so this is referring to identity months. Uh, Trump is trying to phase out like a Pride Month, Black History Month, Native American. Maybe I'm not completely sure. He's trying to like get rid of those months. I don't know how I feel about that. Honestly, it's there the months are useful. For example, it's currently February. It's Black History Month. Um, it's definitely useful for like building a sense of community. Okay, but there's also some issues with having a month-long celebration of a certain race, a certain gender, a certain sexual orientation. Because obviously, by including one race, you're excluding all the others, and that's not exactly the most. I mean, we're America. We're supposed to be inclusive. We're the melting pot of the world. We shouldn't be uh, basically just restricting a certain month to one certain race or one certain sexual orientation or one gender. It's frankly not fair. Um, yeah, let's keep going. Identity months are dead. On January 31st, Trump issued uh, proclamation declaring February to be Black. What? January Trump declared February as it has been. I don't understand what this is saying. Trump issued a proclamation declaring February to be Black History Month. February is black. Like, is that a thing presidents do every year? I'm not completely sure about that. The same day Trump made his proclamation, the Department of Defense, DOD, declared Identity Month dead. I think the single dumbest phrase in our in our military history is "our diversity is our strength." I think I agree with that because our strength should be our strength, not our diversity. I mean, obviously, having a bunch of people from a bunch of different backgrounds is going to like culturally enrich our military and give us a bunch of just experiences to draw from. But to say it's our strength, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't think I agree with that. Uh, I think I agree with Mr. Henson. This is a new take since integration. It's a new. That's a new take. Uh, did Harry Truman say diversity is our strength? Like, is that something he said? Because if it is, then I suppose it would be a new take. But I feel like it's common sense that diversity isn't our strength. It's just one of the few things. Like it makes us strong, but I wouldn't say it's our strength, if that makes sense. Uh, identity-based observance, identity-based observances are a distraction. Uh, okay. I wonder what that's talking about. Actually, I haven't heard that one before. Uh, February 1st, first day of Black History Month. Treasury Secretary Sean Duffy tweeted his own ban on uh, celebrations based on the immutable traits. Okay, so I think that's kind of fair. I don't know. I really don't know if these months should be banned, because they really do enrich our culture, as I was talking about earlier. But it is, as I said, also not extremely fair to all the other people in the country. She said, uh, does nothing to keep planes in the air, trains on the track, or ports and highways secure. Yeah, that's ooh. This is coming out like a week after the Delta plane did a backflip on the on the Toronto in Canada. A Delta plane did a like a backflip, it rolled. Uh, I didn't know planes could roll. I thought they crumpled and exploded if that happened, but it rolled. Everybody walked out. Most people walked out just fine. There's a couple serious injuries, but from what I've heard, no one has died from that, which is unbelievable. Thank you, Delta. I love Delta. Uh, Yada yada. American Airlines flight 5342. That somehow diversity programs had something to do with the crash. I mean, I I'm not a pilot, so I'm not going to exactly make some uh, like extraordinary comments about this, but I heard from some military pilots that they were using night vision goggles. Okay, and night vision goggles uh, restrict your vision around to 45-degree angle from the front of your face. You can't exactly see much, and so when the air traffic controller issued them an instruction to go around the back of the plane, that is American Airlines Flight 5342, they either saw the wrong plane, like on the runway there was a plane taking off, or they just didn't notice the plane coming down, which is also, it's still so weird that they didn't notice the plane. I mean, I've give an example, like play any video game that has night vision. Any light just blinds the night vision goggles. If I had to gander, it's probably similar in real life. Like the lights from the plane should have alerted someone, although understanding that there was that 45-degree angle that all you could see is 45 degrees, it doesn't surprise me that they didn't see the plane. But it's kind of weird, but it's not surprising. But Trump cited his own common sense to make the claim. Okay, Trump. Okay, Trump. I don't know what you're doing. Okay. Civil Rights Act is now a tool to defend white people. What is this? That I mean, that is a bold, bold, bold claim. That is insane. Why is he saying this? The Department of Education, February 14th. That's Valentine's Day. Sent a letter to American schools accusing them of violating the Civil Rights Act. What? I mean, that's kind of crazy. Discriminating against white and Asian students with persuasive and repugnant race-based preferences and other form of racial discrimination that have been emanated, I don't know what that word means, throughout every facet of academia. Um, is it talking about colleges or is it talking about like primary schools? I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was some level of discrimination, uh, and not on purpose, on accident. If there was some level of discrimination, and my thought is, it could happen. Uh, we have been, as a culture, focusing on like fixing racial like inequality. Um, there's a I don't know how to explain this, but there's like black people are statistically more likely to be born into poverty than white people. That's systemic racism. Okay. And so, in trying to get them out of systemic racism, we've developed policies like DEI and uh, the Civil Rights Act, for example. Uh, and I wouldn't be surprised if we've accidentally corrected and have started again accidentally discriminating. Uh, but there's no, I mean, schools like to keep everything low key. They're not going to tell you, for example, why you've been denied. That's why, like again, I mentioned Alan Back had to sue the school to figure out why he was sued and won his case for racial discrimination back in I want to say 1969 or something. And then Harvard versus the Students for Fair Admissions too, which based its claim off of Alan Back, which banned um, using race as a factor in college admissions. Um, and I have seen YouTube videos, TikToks, Instagram threads, Twitter posts all about. I mean, I've seen like there have been admissions officers talking about how to uh, infer someone's race uh, based on their application and giving tips on how to state your race in, for example, a college or job application. Which to me that feels not extremely fair. Um, because again, I don't think anyone should be denied because they are a certain race. although I understand where they're coming from. So, anyways, the letter suggests that unique moral burdens. I don't think moral is the right word they should have used, although I think it is the most. I think that's an example of propaganda right here, using moral instead of financial. Because financial would, I mean, that's systemic racism, as I mentioned earlier, but moral is an interesting phrase to use. To stigmatize, stigmatize, to stigmatize students who belong to a certain racial group based on crude racial stereotypes. See, that would be really bad. Oh, that would be so bad. It seems like a tortured. Oh, he. Let's see his aside. That seems like a tortured allusion to white students who do not want to hear about the. Whoa, whoa! That's insane. What? That seems like a tortured allusion to white students who do not want to hear about the history of slavery in the U.S., for example. That's insane. That's crazy. Okay, I went to I'm in a high school in the South. A lot of my teachers are conservative, um, and it's not like we're trying to like our. It's not like our teachers are trying to downplay slavery. I mean, they teach it. They teach all the grim, gory details. They make sure we know what slavery is. But this is an insane. I mean, this sounds like someone who's never been in a school before. I mean, I go to a school with tons of conservative people who don't think this way, and I live in the deep south. What is this? This guy, Mr. Zachary, what are you? What is that? I mean, that just seems like so like out of touch with reality. I don't know why he would say that. Let's move on. Sorry, I've stayed on that topic for a while. Schools have toxically indoctrinated students with the false premise that the United States is built on systemic and structural racism. All right, let me make it clear. Let me make my opinion on this clear. It is built upon systemic and structural racism. That is literally what slavery was. I mean, this this article is giving me whiplash. There's so many half truths. I feel like it's like they're trying to push a narrative. Like I don't understand why they're doing this. Um, and I also feel like whoever made this quote, Department of Education, whoever made this quote doesn't understand slavery was. Because it absolutely was built on systemic and structural racism. But let's move on. The letter tries to expand upon a 23 court decision that bans the practice of affirmative action that threatens to condition federal funding at schools from preschools to universities. Wait, oh, that banned the practice of affirmative action and threatens to take away their funding if they do not end all diversity programs. Ooh, that's an interesting. Ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. I, mm, I mean, that's kind of crazy. If schools do not end all diversity programs, does that include, for example, the veterans program that got J.D. Vance into Yale, for example? I mean, that's just so broad. That's way too broad. Uh, I'm glad Mr. Zachary brought up that point. I mean, that's not great, honestly. That's really bad, actually. I don't know why he did that. All right. So do African American history classes violate Trump's orders? In my opinion, probably not, because specifically it's a history class. Although if it presents a narrative about African American history that isn't based in reality, but is based in, for example, like trying to push a opinion, yeah, it probably would violate Trump's national or Trump's executive order. Trump nominees Secretary of Education yada yada who made her fortune as a pro wrestling executive. Okay, Why did you include that? That has nothing to do with this. Why did you include that? I mean, that really doesn't have anything to do with the topic at hand. I think what he's trying to do is take a jab at Linda Mc, Mc I'm not going to say that last name. Linda M. I think he's trying to take a jab at her by saying she made her fortune as a wrestling executive. Um, and that's kind of troubling. Like, obviously, you want someone who's educated in the field of education to run as a, as the Secretary of Education. But instead of mentioning her experience in the field of education, he brings up this. That's weird, in my opinion. Had no answers when Democratic Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut asked her if his own children's public school of African American history class would fall into the yada yada. I'm not quite sure if I'd like to look into it further and wait. I'm not. I'm not quite certain. I'd like to look into it further and get back to you on that. I'm not quite certain. That's funny. Okay, that's funny. I'm not quite certain. I'd like to look into that. Okay, yeah. Pluck your ears and scream. Murphy noted that the Department of Defense schools have canceled programming related to Black History Month. Uh, I think there should be programming, but maybe not a like like overwhelming, drowning amount of programming. But I mean, completely removing Black History Month is not a good idea. McMohan said her view is that Black History Month should be celebrated through all of our schools. That's a very how do I put this? That's a very like crowd pleasing thing to say. Oh, I think Black History Month should be celebrated throughout all of our schools. Please vote for me again. Uh, I mean, that just feels like she's directly pandering to her voting base. Is this her? Yeah, her voting base. I mean, that's just kind of weird. Um, and I feel like people should recognize that this is uh, pandering. This is pandering speech. This isn't like I don't think this person actually believes this, or maybe she does. I don't know her, anything about her, but this is extremely like pathos. This is pathos. Anyways, downplaying slavery with, with patriotic with with patriotic education in public schools. There's some carryover from Trump's first term with with all of this. When he was president, the first time Trump stood in the way, planned to put Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill. What? Um, okay, so why should Harriet Tubman be on the $20 bill? I mean, okay, Harriet Tubman's a incredibly influential person. Uh, but putting her on the $20 bill is, I mean, I think, for example, MLK should go on the $20 bill. Um, and I feel like whoever's plan it was to put her on the $20 bill was trying to make an argument. This is going to be our first woman, and this is going to be the first black person on the $20 bill. And I feel like what they're trying to do is say that anyone who disagrees with putting a black woman on the $20 bill is a sexist and a racist. It's the same arguments you would have seen in the last election, where if you don't vote for Kamala Harris, it is because you are a racist and it's because you are a sexist. I feel like that's the same argument that's being said here. And I feel like both those arguments are inherently flawed uh, because I mean, I just don't think she needs to be on the $20 bill. I think she needs like a statue and a monument, but the $20 bill, um, I I think only presidents are on the $20 bill. Well, besides Hamilton, but Hamilton, created the entire treasury, so of course he should be on be on the $10 bill. Uh, but yeah, I mean that's kind of weird. Anyways, pure political correctness. That's to replace the slave owning and okay. So here's the issue: slave owning President Andrew Jackson. That's not the issue with Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson had significantly bigger issues than owning slaves. Oh my gosh. Why is that what you come up with? Andrew Jackson was the one who expelled the Native Americans from the South. And you decide to put the fact that he's slave owning instead of the fact that he, you know, expelled the Native Americans from their land. That's insane. I mean, yeah, let's take Hamilton off the uh 10. Let's take Washington off the, I mean, if we're taking people off because they're slave owning, we're not going to have anybody on our bills except for Lincoln, I guess. That's just a weird thing to come after. Uh anyways, yeah, let's move on with the icon of the Underground Railroad. I thought you said you want to put Harriet Tubman on it instead of the. Never mind. In closing days, he chose Martin Luther King Jr. Day to issue a report from the 1976 Commission, a refutation of the. Oh my gosh, refuting the diversity project, or the diversity project on MLK Day, is a power move. That is insane. Wow. I don't think that was kind of tone deaf of him, honestly. That is, ooh, that is crazy. Which recommends downplaying the yada yada. I get you're obsessed with the 19 CNN. Why are you obsessed with this project? I don't understand. I guess it's because you're CNN. You do. I don't know if CNN favors one side actually, but from what I've seen, they tend to air more articles about why Trump is the devil and why uh, the Democrats are the, you know, best thing since ice cream was invented by the Romans. I don't know. Devastating effect. Okay, let's. All right, last. Racist tweets are forgiven for Doge employee who. Oh no. Racist tweets are forgiven for Doge employee who pushed eugenics. The air is the air is human. To forgive divine. He pushed eugenics. That's not human. That is. Who did this? Who who did this? Oh no. I To forgive divine. Okay. That is. Why would you? Oh, that's kind of strange. To forgive a Doge employee. I know you like your Doge employees, Elon, but pushing eugenics and just forgiving that blank slate is weird. I mean, that's just kind of weird. I don't know. All right, he was talking about Marco Elez, the employee of Musk's Department of Government Efficiency, which is, by the way, it's not an actual cabinet department. It is a agency that is like been it's this is not its full name. It's like the agency of the Department of Government Efficiency, because it's not an actual department, because if it was, then Trump would be impeached, and because you can't create a department without Congress, yada yada. You get the point. Uh, but let's move on. Who was reported to have shared message? Okay, in a court environment, unless there's like actual evidence of this would be called hearsay. Because that is, unless you have hard proof, he said, she said is not gonna hold up in any environment whatsoever. And I don't think we should use he said, she said to fire people, because that's just not exactly fair towards the people being fired. Um, but anyways, favoring the false and racist concept of eugenics. False, yes. Racist, that's not what? Okay, eugenics is uh well, in a basic speech, it's using or like selecting who gives birth. Um, oh, or racially suggest selective breeding. Okay, that's That makes sense. But that's not exactly the full definition. Oh, you would have to have context to see what he meant by eugenics in this context. Because there are some people who argue, well, people who have inheritable traits like autism or like terrible brain stuff or cancer be allowed to give shouldn't be allowed to give birth to children. That's the idea of eugenics. But whether he was talking about specifically racially selective breeding or if he was talking about what I just mentioned, uh, I mean, I don't know. And posting this without any um, source on that is not. I mean, is this a source? Okay, no, it's not a source. I mean, that's just disingenuous. Um, it's what I would consider to be propaganda. It's just saying, "Oh, he said this, therefore it's true." I mean, that's not. I would like to see a source about this because that is weird. Vice President J.D. Vance. Here's the J.D. Vance slander. I say slander as a joke, by the way. Shared by Elise was stupid, but yeah, that is pretty stupid. Honest, that's a pretty stupid thing to say. You know, someone in high government should not be allowed to say something like racially selective breeding is allowed. But Elise should be brought back because otherwise, um, because to do other wait, because Elise should be brought back because to do otherwise would somehow reward the Wall Street Journal. That was kind of funny, which uncovered the old post. Although it's hard to understand why it would be better not to know such comments existed. Okay, I think this shows where it came from, but it doesn't. I mean, I really wish it has been updated with additional information. Maybe I need to look at that, but again, uh, there's no link to that article here. Uh, I need to see a source about this. I mean, that's a crazy claim to make, and if it's true, uh, yeah, this person should be fired. That's not something someone in any government position should be allowed to say. I mean, you can't say because you're this race, you should not be allowed to have sex and have kids. That's crazy. Um, but I don't know. I just want to see a source based on that. But anyways, that this is a fun little article. This is a fun article. Zachary D. Wolf. I actually quite enjoyed your article. I just, I'd like to see some sources and some things just feel a little bit extremely biased. Uh, but anyways, yeah. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this, please let me know. Uh, I enjoyed this. And this was Propaganda Patrol. Have a good day. See you later. See you in the next one.